You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Yeah, that's fine. Welcome back to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. And today's guest is a purple belt who trains at Gracie Barra, located in Spring Branch, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, Derrick Balderas.
How you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going, my brother?
Doing good. How was your New Year's Eve?
Man, my New Year's Eve was fantastic. How was yours?
It was good. It was good. Just spending time with family, and I had my little one, so we had to get her home and in bed. So I didn't make it to midnight, but it was a good time.
That's good. Yeah, we were kind of out a little late. The kids were playing with their cousins, so they had a good time. So they sleep now, so I think they had a party harder than we did.
That's good. That's good. It's always a good time.
Always. Well, let's get the ball rolling, man. If you want to introduce yourself again, you sure can. But let's hear about your jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah. So Derrick Balderas. I'm from a little town called Jits, Texas, just outside of San Antonio. Joined the Army. Was in the military for about 13 years. Jiu-jitsu kind of started for me back in about 2012. I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, and at that time, Fort Hood was doing a combatives tournament. One of the instructors, because I was an instructor at the time, so one of the instructors there, he was already experienced. He was a amateur MMA fighter. He had already been in the BJJ scene, the MMA scene, and so we kind of got a little team together, and we were going to compete and represent our academy during this competition. So luckily, our leadership allowed us to train for about a month, gave us some time in the afternoons to train. And that was kind of like my first introduction into grappling and jiu-jitsu. And that's kind of where it all started. So, kind of fast forward from there, we do the tournament. I win my first match. I lose my second match, but I pretty much fell in love with them jiu-jitsu. That next week, I started at a gym called American Fight Company. At that time, there was Professor Jared Clunes. He was my first professor, and I started training from there. Trained for about a year and a half, 2 years. Then I deployed. When I deployed, and then when I came back in 2016, I never picked jiu-jitsu back up. So I kind of had a gap there. I did the Army Combatives program. I trained with the American Fight Company for about 2 years, deployed. From 2016 to about the middle of 2019, I decided to join the police academy. So once I joined the police academy, I decided, hey, if I'm going to be on the streets doing the job, I need to get back to training. So I was already out of the military by then. I moved back to my hometown of Jits, and I started with 10th Planet in San Antonio. Trained there for about 6 months and wasn't getting exactly like what I needed. The gym was great. The gym is still great. I go to open mats there a lot, but I kind of want to do more gi work as well. So then I kind of got home at Brazilian Top Team. And so Brazilian Top Team, they have 4 gyms here in San Antonio, Jits, and the surrounding communities. Professor Diego Gamanal was my professor for pretty much the last 4 years. Started over again, brand new white belt. It was January of 2020. I started at Brazilian Top Team. And then I just recently made the change to Gracie Barra, Spring Branch. So that's kind of like my journey from where I'm at right now.
Gotcha. So when it comes to like jiu-jitsu, like I've had a couple conversations about this with other guests and just on social media. We were talking about like police officers doing jiu-jitsu. Like they feel like they should be at least like a blue belt when it comes to like I guess adding that to their curriculum, to become a police officer. Like what is like I guess what do you feel about that? Like jiu-jitsu being added to like I guess you want to say like police force.
I'm all for it. I think that it should be taught from the academy. The thing about Texas, and I think about most states, is there is no state mandate for combative training, and I think that's I think that's kind of where it all needs to start. Since there is a requirement, it's going to be hard for departments to justify this type of training. We have requirements for firearms, we have requirements for other things. Well, the departments have to implement that training because it's a state requirement. But the departments I work for, I've never done a day of combative training. And so, I mean, me as a practitioner, I know how much it helps me. It gives me the confidence on the street, and I know how much it could help every officer be better. But until I think the states kind of see that and mandate it, it's going to be hard because you got to think of the funding, you got to think of officers getting hurt. How do we implement a program to kind of balance that? How
Right.
Part and officers getting hurt part. This we're kind of seeing, from what I'm kind of seeing, is they're doing kind of the Gracie survival tactics. That's kind of the program that most departments are leaning towards. And the way they structure that program is very, very crawl, walk, run type style. So, I could see as a BJJ practitioner, it's not great for what, for us as everyday BJJ guys. But as a program for officers, I think it's great because it does really start slow and builds that foundation up to where they can eventually start getting into more of an aggressive training curriculum and really going more live roles and really really building that foundation for them for the stuff that they're going to meet like in the street. But yeah, man, like it's tough because I mean it's just a lot of departments don't train. I mean, there are some here that there are guys that are qualified to train and this departments don't allocate the training for it.
Yeah, because my instructor, he used to be, he's a retired police officer, and just the stuff that we trained, like how to take down somebody who's being aggressive without hurting them or you getting hurt, how to make sure their hands are clear from their waistline and stuff like that. And it never dawned on me, like, you go through, I got friends, I got training partners who, who's in the police, police academy and stuff like that. And you get trained on all these situations on the, how to handle a gun, but you never really hear about, like in these situations, like combative training, like, how to handle yourself without using your weapon, without using excessive force and stuff like that. Like everything has to go from like 0 to 100. And I'm, I think to myself, like if there was like, proper training in, in something combative, grappling, and especially a lot of this stuff could be, de-escalated quickly without use of like excessive violence.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can only speak for myself, like, but right. I've also never been in a blown out fight. Like I've gone hands on like plenty of times. I've been in some scraps a little bit. Nothing that I've ever felt I was, at some type of disadvantage or I was really scared for my life. So I can't really talk on, to say, hey, it works 100% because look, I've done it, But yes, I have gone hands on. But what I can say is that, as a purple belt, I do feel that I am kind of an advanced level. I'm not that white belt and blue belt. So when I do walk into a situation, I am very calm. Like I'm not scared. My heart's not racing. I'm able to talk. I'm able to control my emotions. And for me personally, I've only been a cop for a little over 3.5 years, almost 4 years. I've been in situations where guys have been subjects, they've been heated, they've been F you, I hate you, all this, just verbal, this, that, I'm going to kick your, butt, blah, blah, blah. Calm, talk to them, keep my voice just like this, because I'm confident in my ability that if it has to escalate, I can escalate it like this. Slap, bump. That's how we train, right? Slap, bump, go, just like that.
Right.
I'm confident that I can do that. Now, am I going to win that fight? I have no clue. I'm not saying I'm going to win every fight. I'm not, and I know that. I keep my distance. I keep a tactical approach to it, but I'm able to control my emotions to where I can talk to somebody with a calm voice, calm them down. And normally, normally 98% of the time, I can de-escalate that situation, and they're actually apologizing in the back of my unit saying, "Hey, bro, I'm sorry that I treat you like that." And I'm like, "Hey, bro, hey, I don't care. Like, you're having a bad day. It is what it is. We all have them. I don't judge
Right.
you. Like, oh, they say like, I'm not like that. I go, dude, I promise you, I'm not judging you. Like, I get it. Like, I don't judge. I don't care, because you know what? We all have our demons. We've all done our bad stuff. I have too. I don't judge you. So I
Right.
appreciate the apology. I appreciate you, having enough respect to comply, put your hands behind your back and let me do what I needed to do without fighting me. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's the mindset I want to bring to policing. That's the officer that I want to be. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what drives me in jiu-jitsu, to be honest. Yes, I do love, as I progress in my jiu-jitsu journey, I do love jiu-jitsu as a martial art. I do want to be a black belt. I want to pursue, my life will always be in jiu-jitsu. But as a police officer, that allows me to be the officer that I want to be. And not just for me, but for the community, for the people that I have to, make contact with, that I may have to arrest or, calm down and stuff like that. So it allows me to be a better officer than I think I would be if I didn't have it.
So either you understand or you don't, like when it comes to jujitsu, like how much it bleeds into your everyday life. Like you put so much time on the mats, you want to get better, you want to do whatever, whatever you can to improve yourself. And then it's just like, okay, if I can do this in jujitsu, let me see if I can do this everywhere else.
Yeah.
And then it just takes over your life from there.
It definitely builds like work ethic. Like the confidence you get from doing something like jiu-jitsu, like everything else seems easy, Like if you can go in the gym and just get past the ego and get past the fact that I'm I'm gonna get embarrassed at times. I'm gonna get choked out. I'm gonna get tapped by kids, by people smaller like than me, sometimes females.
Mm-hmm.
And like you persevere from that, and you just continue to move forward and continue to just train and get better, and now all of a sudden like you're the person tapping others out. That like that confidence you build. I mean, like there's nothing better than martial arts and a contact sport, something like that, to kind of catapult you through the rest of your life for anything else that you want to do.
Yeah, because I think especially with jujitsu, it puts you in such a controlled, hostile situation so many times. Whereas like you put yourself in a position where you have to like focus on that. You
Yeah.
have to focus on your jujitsu. You can't let outside life or work get into your mind, because next thing you know, you're looking up at the ceiling, everybody's looking down at you like, are you all right? So it just it trains your mindset to be like, yeah, if I can survive this, if I can survive rolling with a 200+ pound wrestler, I can handle everyday life.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many like benefits from it. I mean, if we're talking the law enforcement realm, I mean, it isn't just the fact that, hey, what can we do on the streets, but I mean the mental aspect. Officer suicides, just stuff like that. Like having an outlet to, just like what you said, like get on the mat, don't think of anything else, kind of let loose, and just find that like outlet to just clear your head and clear your mind. I mean, that's another one of the big like reasons why I train. I mean, if I
Mm-hmm.
go a week, if I go a week without training, man, my wife hates it. Like it's just something I got to do. It's something that's a part of me that it'll never stop. Like
No.
it's the gym, it's the mats, it's my therapy.
Yeah. Cause like a few weeks ago I had surgery, and I had to take a couple weeks off the mats. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna survive this 2 weeks. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's just a sign. I need to take a break, yada yada yada. But after that first week, man, I was losing my mind. I was
Yeah,
like,
November 10th, I thought I broke my ankle. We
oh,
started up top, my leg got caught on a takedown and it popped. Never had a loud pop. Thought I broke it, but it wasn't broken. Went to the emergency room that day, just a sprained ankle. So I was actually out since November 10th till about this past weekend. I've been out, and yeah, it was rough. That's probably the
It's
first
rough.
for 4 years I've taken longer than like a week off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah. I've been training for it's been like over 6 years, and yeah, this has had to be the first time I took this long off the mats. Like 2 weeks off the mats was like crazy to me. I'll take a day or two.
yeah.
But even then, I'm like, all right, I'm starting to itch. I'm starting to get, like I need to get on the mats, But being this actually it was like 3 weeks. Yeah, it was like 3 weeks because they had me off for 2 weeks and they put me on like another like light restriction. They was like, you can go to the gym, but you got to be careful what you do because blah blah blah. And I'm like, all right, man. But after that 3 weeks, I was like, yep, get me on the mats. I need to roll with somebody. Let's go.
Shoot, I'm watching Flow Grappling. I'm YouTubing. I'm doing everything I can just to keep my mind like still in it.
Yeah, for sure.
So are you a gi guy, no gi guy? Like, what do you prefer?
I prefer. I've been going back and forth about this. I've been falling in love with no gi, but I'm starting to miss doing gi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause we were very fortunate to open up, me and another training partner, we opened up a school, and then I end up opening up another spot with another partner. And right now it was like we're still in that we're in that building stage. So a lot of people hasn't bought in yet, they haven't bought gi. So my class has been strictly no gi.
Gotcha.
And over there we do like no gi on one day, gi on the other day. And so it's just been like no gi for like the past few months. So I was like, yeah, I love it, but now it's like, we got, we kind of mess around with gi on our Saturday class, and it's like, man, I kind of starting to miss this. Starting to miss rolling with gi. Not too much, but I just got to find that happy balance.
So as a gym owner, like, what are your takes? So my kind of thing is, as a customer who pays for the gym, I like no gi. I do like the gi. I do like the same with you. I do want some gi. I don't like, it's kind of why I went away with 10th Planet, because I do want some gi work. And eventually one day I do want to be a black belt. I do want to train and be an instructor. I want to be a professor, and you have to know the gi. Like, I want to know the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu martial art itself, not just the and but I feel like, if you own a gym, because one day I do want to own a gym, so I'm thinking about, how would I run my gym? Would I run my gym on the fact that, hey, I want to be a no gi gym, which are most like a lot of the Brazilian gyms, or like a gi gym, right? They got a lot of gi, very minimal, like a no gi. Or am I going to go with what my customers want? And if they want no gi, am I going to do more no gi because that's what my paying customers want? Like, how do you feel about that? Like, are you going to go with how you want to run it, or how your paying customers kind of want?
I've been kind of on the fence about that too, because I'm looking at it. You got to start looking at it as a business aspect versus just like how you personally feel about it. Because right now, like a lot of the few guys that I do have, they do prefer no gi, and I'm okay with not doing no gi. So I'm thinking like maybe I'll probably try to do just like a more no gi classes, but I still want to kind of play on both sides. So I'll probably do like, hey, we're no gi school, but we will hop in the gi every now and then, so you guys can get a feeling of understanding on how it works. Now I just don't want to just completely be like, no, we're not doing gi at all, but just just a little mixture of the two, because I think you should be able to know both, so. That's how I look at it. Like, I'd rather have, cover all grounds versus just no gi.
Such a big topic, right?
Yeah, because a lot of schools, they fight with that. They have, if they have a big school, and they may notice like, yeah, we got more people that's doing no gi versus gi. Then you run to that question like, okay, do we keep our gi program, or do we just go strictly gi, or do we just kind of keep it the same? Like, what do we do in this aspect? Because you don't want to lose people because you don't you're not able to cater to them, so to speak, because you'll never want someone to like leave out with a bad experience to something that you love, because they might not go pick it up somewhere else.
For sure.
So especially like with me, when I get new people on the mats that never done a martial art, never done jujitsu and so on and so forth, but they may seen it before. The first thing I'd be like, hey, look, I do this because I love it. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to push you run you into the ground. This is what, you take out of it, what you give it. If you want to just say, hey, I just want to do it for the exercise, get in shape, learn something new. All right, we can do that. If you tell me like, yeah, coach, I think I want to compete. I think I want to do this and do that. Okay, we can do that. Because I'm like, I'm not getting paid a lot to do this, and I can't cover your bills if you get hurt. So like we're not a 100%, go type school. And I'm like, no, you go at your own pace.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Saturday at the open mat, I was talking to one of my buddies that owns a gym, and he's kind of struggling with that as far as, so his gym is a very MMA focused, kind of like a old school grinding gym, which I love. Because that's what I grew up with. I love competition, hard. Every time you go in there, it's going to be a hard class, right? But the business aspect is that's not going to attract a lot of people.
Right.
Going to go into that first class and then be like, no, I can't do this every day or 2 days. This is crazy. And so he's kind of like, well, how do I do that? Like what you said, like, how do I focus on getting the people that just want to do it as a hobby or learn the martial art, and then also have my, my killers, my competitors, my MMA guys and stuff like that, and kind of balance that. Do I do separate classes, and do you have the time to do like separate classes, as well as, you got to have a good kids program, because I think kids like program is what really makes a gym potential wise, is the kids. And so he's kind of trying to teeter on, how do I balance that hobbyist to competitor, and kind of make one gym for everybody, And that's
tough. I'm very fortunate enough to have an instructor that kind of distilled that into us when he was kind of teaching us like the business aspect of the school. Now with him, he has like, outside businesses, and jujitsu was just like a hobby to him. It was like, hey, as long as tuition is keeping the doors open, I'm cool with that. If I'm not looking to make money and so on and so forth. So he was like, oh, this is hobby, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But like you said, you get people that's like, okay, what do I do in a situation when I open my own school? How do I want to run it? And like you said, kids class pays the bills. Kids class and fundamentals classes pays the bills. There's no way around it. Like you got to have a solid, kids class in order to, function, unless you got 50, 60 people that's on the mats every single day. But like I said, it's not always going to be that way. So having that good, strong fundamentals and kids class is really important. And you just kind of have to, you have to kind of have those multiple type of like, multi-day classes where it's like, for this hour, we got fundamentals. This class, we just got beginners. This class, we got XYZ. And on these days, we got the hard classes. We got the competition classes. We got this, we got that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. I would love to open a gym one day. I mean, I'm years from it, but I think about that because I think about my gym now. I'm 38 years old, so I'm not young, but I do like to go hard still. And, and I kind of feel like, man, like, how do I balance that? Because I do have, like I have my wants, like I want to do more no-gi than gi. So sometimes if I'm at a gym that does more gi, I'm kind of like, man, like I want to go to a gym that has more no-gi. And then if you have like, well, I want to go to a gym that has more upper level belts, so I get harder rolls. But then sometimes it's good to be with lower belts, so I can try new things out and like work my technique game and stuff like that. So it's just like I always think about like, just what's the perfect way to run a gym. And me and my buddy were just talking about this, and at least where I'm at in the San Antonio like area, your Brazilian top teams, your Gracie Bajas, some of your bigger names, like they're doing well. But is it because of the name? Is it because of how it's ran? I don't know, like,
yeah.
Does that really help? at some point, like the big names, you know. Like when I was at Brazilian top team, like I didn't leave there because of anything. I love that gym. Diego's a great professor. All the coaches there are great. The gyms are great. And you have, I mean, Diego is a world champion, multi-time. All the coaches there have won pans and worlds, gi and no gi. There's times where you'll have 7 or 8 black belts, 6 brown belts, and then there's like a couple of purple, blue, and whites, you know? So to have the opportunities to really, you know, have that type of training every day you train, you're in there with higher level black belts. I mean, you can't ask for anything, you know, like better than that, right? So
Right.
Brazilian top team was a great place. It just, for me, I wanted a little bit more no-gi. The schedule from because I actually live outside of San Antonio in Shirts, and they have the Brazilian top team in Shirts, but the schedule isn't really fitting what I need it to fit me or fit for me like anymore. And the gym I just transferred to, Gracie Baja, is kind of closer to my son, which I'm hoping one day he'll want to pick it up and train with me. And so, so I tried to have him train with me at Brazilian top team, but I don't have him enough for him to train where I live. Well, then I paid for him to train where he lives, but he doesn't want to train without me. So that didn't like, well, you know what? Well, maybe it's time if I just change gyms and train closer to him. Now I'm like within 10 minutes, like from his house. I was like, maybe, you know, he'll come train with me. So that's kind of my hopes, is not only do I get more no-gi, because now my professor, James Overton, he's a really great guy. He trains with New Wave and those guys, really technical dude. He loves no-gi, but it's also closer to my son. So I'm hoping I can get my son in the gym with me and we can train together. He's 12 years old, so he has years.
Oh yeah. Yeah, gotta get him started early, man. Gotta get him started early.
I'm trying.
But yeah, that's kind of one of the things that, you know, you don't think about, you know, as the business aspect of jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm just used to, hey, going in, you know, hitting the mats, work out, and go home. You know, versus someone who owns a school is like, hey, I got to come up with lesson plans. I got to figure out, you know, what's to do for the week and all, you know, so on and so forth. I have to adjust my lesson plan depending on who shows up. It's a lot that goes into it, because I can be like, okay, I'm gonna teach this, you know, this Tuesday, this Thursday, yada yada yada. But if I got only white belts who never done anything, is like, okay, now I have to kind of switch it up a little bit. I can't go into what I wanted to go into. But yeah, that's the kind of thing I just lay out from the jump. Like, you know, anybody that I'm introducing the sport to, I give them my little background, how I train is how I teach. And a lot of people respect that, because, you know, they go places and be like, yeah, you got to compete. Yeah, you got to do this. You got to do that in order to advance, or in order to do, even just to train there, you have to meet a certain criteria, which I'm not knocking those schools for doing that if that's how you want to run it. But that's just not me, because that's not how I was trained. So when I tell people, like, look, we are just hobbyists, we're 9-to-5ers, you know, if something happens to you, I can't pay your medical bills. I can't pay your bills at all. I'm barely paying mine. So, you know, you do with that information on what you will. But a lot of people be like, you know what? I respect that. I respect that, you know, you're open and honest about it. And, you know, and people kind of catch on. And, you know, who's to say that, you know, you start, it's like, oh, I'm just kind of doing it just to work out. But then 2 weeks later, you're like, hey, I heard there's like a competition coming up. You think I should do it? Yeah, sure, why not? You know, you never know. I've seen it. I'm one of those people where it's like, I trained, I never thought about competing. And then one year, me and my training partner was talking about competing, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. And now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, this year, I'm like, I want to compete at least 6 times. Oh yeah, this year.
So, I mean, the past 4 years, I haven't competed but one time. I competed in a law enforcement. It was on 9/11. It was in Houston, and because it was a first responders and tournament, I competed. I think I got gold in gi, silver in no gi. But I mean, that was the only time I competed in 4 years. But then I competed in pans. this September and got third in Nogi, and now I got the bug. So this year I was gonna do Worlds in Vegas, but I got hurt. And then
Right.
now I already have January, February, March, April, May already scheduled out. So I'm gonna try to compete every month this year if I can. But my initial was like, you know what, I want to do this because I'm a police officer. So I want to focus on, always being on top, focus on police-based jiu-jitsu, what I'm going to use on the street. And then now that I'm kind of getting more of the advanced rank and kind of getting more advanced, now I'm playing guard. I'm trying to learn more legs. I'm kind of getting into that jiu-jitsu game now.
Yeah.
And now I love it. So, and now I think I'm to the point to where, I can distinguish between the both. Like, I'm not going to be on the streets and like drop to my butt, like people say, oh, you're going to drop. No, man. Like I'm at the point where I know the difference. I'm at the point where I can stand up and play top game if I need to on the streets. But when I'm on the, I'll drop to my butt and I'll play guard and that's what my focus is right now, is getting better at guard right now, and white belts are passing my guard. So it's an awful guard game right now.
But yeah, but that's the fun of it, man. It's like you get to experiment. You're trying to figure out what you want to do, what you want to build your game around. I mean, I just got my black belt a couple months ago. Thank you. And I'm still stuff I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Still part of my game is like, okay, I like to play bottom half. I don't even know, just something I just like, let's play around with bottom half. And I'm finding success. I'm finding where I need to improve, and I just keep building, But as far as like competing, I was going to compete this month. Actually, this weekend I was going to compete, but I had the surgery, so I couldn't really train like I wanted to. But I know there's a couple that's coming up in February and March. I'm like, yeah, as soon as after I got cleared from my doctor, I'm like, yep, I'm ready to hit it. I'm ready to get it, go after it, and compete in that black belt. It's going to be high level. So it's like there's a lot of stuff I need to fix in between these couple months, and it makes me excited. Like at first I was like, man, this is gonna be rough, rolling with upper belts and stuff like that. But it's like, man, it's time to not think like a lower belt. It's time to think like the rank that you are, and just go after it, man. If whatever happens, just get it, go get it.
Care less if I lost. Like, when I went to Pans, I'm probably the nicest competitor ever. I'm giving the dude I'm about to go with props. Hey, bro, I hope you win, I don't care. I'm 38. I'm just having fun, Like, I'm out here to compete, have fun, kind of see where I'm at, kind of gauge it. Like, if I was younger, if I was still in the adult division and trying to, maybe pushing more, but now at my age and I'm just like, hey, I'm just trying to have fun. Like, just enjoy the sport of jiu-jitsu, have fun with it, meet new people, and kind of, build that network of people. I mean, my buddy just came in from Mexico, and, I bounced him around from all these gyms this past 2 weeks, just networking. And he got to meet all kinds of people, I think to me, that's what jiu-jitsu is the networking family. And I mean, just because of my age, like, it's not so much the competitions and the medals and stuff. Yeah, that's great. But I love the network and the family that you build just in the community of jiu-jitsu. And that kind of, and that kind of goes with kind of what you see with gyms that are very, so as a gym owner, what is your thoughts on cross training?
I'm for it. Yeah. I don't knock that at all. Like if I get students, it's like, oh yeah, I'm training at blah 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 blah. Hell, I'll go with you. Yeah. Like I'll go with you, or if it's something that you learn over there, and it's like, hey, we was working XYZ over there. I think that's just something we should work on. Like just say, for example, you're one of my students, and you say, hey, I'm about to, I got invited, or I'm going to XYZ for a couple of days. You got a couple gyms out there, blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, man, go out there, have fun, represent, obviously you're going to show respect because, I can tell by how you are. And when you come back, I'll have you teach class. Like, hey, man, what'd you learn? Like, oh, man, I learned X, Y, Z. All right, well, Derrick, we about to show us what he learned over at X, Y, Z, man. So everybody gather around, blah, blah, blah. Because, it's more jujitsu out there than you realize. That's something that I'm learning myself is like, because I never really played leg locks. I never played deep half, delahiva, and all that other stuff. We were more like smash pass jujitsu, grimy, gritty type jujitsu. But it's like, well, there's more out there. But now that we're seeing that, it's kind of like, oh, okay, now we got to really, really learn what we haven't seen yet and whatnot. So
I like it. I love it. Every time I try to go to a gym. I've never had a bad experience,
Never.
I've never had a bad experience. I don't think I've ever had to pay for a drop-in fee. I always buy a shirt or a rash guard or something. But yeah, man, like, and I've gone all over Texas. I've trained in Mexico before, trained in Virginia, like all over. Never had a bad experience. But I love that,
Yeah.
I love to go train with my buddies, especially a lot of like officers that do train. A lot of them train at different gyms. So, we all talk about it and da da da. So I like to go train with them.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I like if I was a gym owner, like I feel the same way. Like I would love to just, hey man, yeah, go cross train. Of course, have loyalty to the gym and stuff like that. But yeah, like go cross train, like have fun. Like this is a community, and like represent us well.
Yeah, that's the only thing that you can really ask for as an instructor.
Yeah.
It's like I can't tell you where to go. I'm not your parent. I can't say like, no, you can't go train there. No, that's bad. No, that's bad. Like, no, go out, have fun. The only thing I ask you to do is like you said, you represent me, you're representing our gym. Just show respect. If they say, hey, you gotta pay a mat fee, pay a mat fee. If you gotta, if they say like, you at least gotta buy a shirt, whatever, show your respect, and invite them back to your school.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the way you got to do it. Like one of the guys that I kind of cross train with, he's been the open mat a few times at my school. I've been open mat in classes at his school, and we like, even though we do this so many times, we still like, hey, should I pay a drop in fee? He's like, nah, bro, don't worry about it. It's like your 4th, 5th time coming. You don't have to pay a drop in fee. And the same thing for him is like, he'll bring people from his school from open mats. Like, is it a drop in fee? Like, nah, bro, just come on, put it on the mats. Forget it. Your drop-in fee is getting out there on the work on the mats and putting in work.
Yeah,
that's your drop-in fee.
There's probably like 4. Like I have a group of probably like 5 or 6 of us that love to train, but we all train in different places.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times where we'll go just to, one of the gyms, and so we're bringing 5 dudes to a open mat, and some of these gyms may not have, but 6 like people come to an open mat on any given Saturday, and we're bringing 5 of them. And we're bringing black belts, purple belts, brown belts, blue belts. So we're bringing some good experience. So like most gyms love it. They're like, hey, thank you. Because now, now our students are getting to see some other people. And of course, we're posting on Instagram, we're marketing, so we're showing love to the professor and stuff like that. So I hope that brings some, by us doing that, I hope it brings some marketing to their gym. Maybe someone didn't know that gym was there. Like, oh, yeah, let me go check it out, So that's what I love, like just doing that. So I have a group of us that do that a lot.
Yeah, that's a great community to have because, yeah, like you said, they might be a little hole in the wall spot that don't have many students, or like you said, people don't really necessarily know about them. But it's crazy how how many schools will be against that.
Oh, a lot.
Which is weird to me. It's like you say what?
It drives me crazy.
Yeah, like I've had different jobs around Detroit metro area or whatever, and the first thing I'll do is like I'll look in the area that I'm working in, and I'll try to find a school that's in the area. Like, okay, I can drop in before work or drop in after work, so on and so forth. And I've been turned down, like, hey, you guys, have like, drop-ins and blah, blah. Oh, no, we don't do that here. I'm like, oh, all Damn. Okay.
Wow.
More often than not, that I've messaged schools, called schools that be like, yeah, we don't do this, we don't do that. You got to be a member. You got to have, you got to be this in order to join. To do a class. I'm like, I mean, all right, well, I appreciate it. Then they just hang up. Like, well, damn.
How do you survive like that?
Right. Like, how do you survive like that? And the craziest part is one of the schools that I've called and tried to talk to them was an affiliate of ours.
Oh,
So it wasn't like, I was a foreigner. Like, I know what the school is. It's like, hey man, I train at XYZ, we're under the Moera banner, hey, you guys have any drop-ins or blah blah. No, we don't do that here. So
all right. I like gyms that are like owned by one person, like one gym, one professor. It's their gym. I love it, right? Because that's their baby. All their time is set to that. But then also, you have your bigger gyms, like Diego's the Texas coach for Brazilian top team. So he's the coach over all of Texas, and he has 5 gyms now. And I love it too. But what's great about Brazilian top team is that they're all over the world. So I can go and train when I was with them at any Brazilian top team, no matter where I'm at. And they're all over the world. So that's kind of cool to have a network like that, where no matter where you're at, you can train and they're never going to charge you and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to have like a family like that. And Gracie Baja is the same way. So I'm kind of like not losing a network like that. But I do like the small gym aspect, like one owner, one professor, one gym. I do like that.
Yeah, and that's where we came from. The most people that we will have on a mat at a time is probably like 7, 8 people, 12 if we're lucky. And I like that. I like the small, intimate type of classes because you can get you can interact with your professor, you can interact with your instructor, and be like, hey, I need work on this XYZ, blah blah blah. But versus a large school when it's like 90 people on the mats at the same time, and it's like, hey, man, if you can't catch up, bro, you're gonna fall deeper into that pool. So yeah, I don't see I've been to a large school as like open mats and stuff like that, and it's like you got 7 or 8 rows going on at the same time, and it's like, what is going on here? I'm not used to all this. I'm used to maybe 1 or 2, and like everyone else is kind of like helping coach, but we got everybody on the floor, everybody rolling. It's crazy.
So our headquarters in San Antonio for BTT, it's like that. It's a big gym. So I mean, so you'll have 8, 9 rows at one time going on. So it's a big mat. So yeah. So I kind of grew up in that atmosphere of having that big mat like environment. But I like it. Like it's not bad. But and then Austin. So I'm close to Austin. So Austin's blowing up with jiu-jitsu. So I've had a chance to train down at Henzo's in Austin. And that gym's blowing up because New Wave is training there and stuff like that. Like, man, it's so cool with what's happening with jiu-jitsu, and just now starting to kind of really get into it. Man, I'm like, damn, this is like the Mecca now. Like everything is 45 minutes away from me that I can go down and like see and train and cross train and stuff like that. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I think we got to jiu-jitsu at a really, really good time. Cause it's like, it's becoming to the forefront, it's becoming more global, and it just seems like awesome gyms are just popping up everywhere. Like every time you blink, it's like, oh, they just opened up a gym like right across the street from me. I didn't even realize it, so I'm excited to see where it's going, and excited to see like how much more is going to do in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I would like to see it in schools.
Yes.
Schools. I mean, at least a very basic curriculum. Like like why can't there be a jiu-jitsu like curriculum? Like something for some type of bullying, since bullying is such an issue in schools and just the issues that young kids are having these days. It's just crazy. Like as a police officer, I can't understand some of the calls I go to, and these are 13-year-old kids, 12-year-old kids, 8-year-old kids. I'm like, what is going on with this world, And
Mhm.
and I really think that, only because I know what it does for me, and I would hope it would do this stuff for others. Why can't we have a curriculum starting in elementary school like jiu-jitsu, Why does it have
Yeah.
to be in high school? Like, why is wrestling just in high school? Why can't we start earlier and just build off it as we go? I hope jiu-jitsu kind of goes in that route, you know.
Yeah, man. Maybe you'll be the one to start that. Never know.
So New Braunfels is a city just next to us. One of the gyms out there, I saw their professor was actually in one of the elementary schools. So
Hmm.
sure what he was doing, if he was just kind of doing like a seminar type thing, or if he's actually doing a curriculum like for the elementary school kids, or maybe an after school program. But he was at the elementary schools, and I thought that was awesome. I
Yeah,
was like,
because I feel like I've seen it come into my gym when it comes to like the kid, especially with kids. You know, a lot of people feel like even with adults, like we have this conversation with a lot of people, and it's like should martial arts, jujitsu or grappling should be taught in law enforcement and yada yada yada. And people, the first thing they say, like, why would you want to give someone with so much hostility another weapon? And it's like, well, I understand your concern, but honestly, to me, it's the complete opposite. I'm less angry because I can get this stuff out. I'm less upset because I'm out. I can go to go to a room, a padded room with like-minded people, roll and work out my frustrations, and everyday life just seems so much better. That can just deter just bullying right there, because usually when it comes to kids bullying, it's just pent up anger and frustration, and they
yeah,
just have to just so happen to take it out on an innocent kid. If they had somewhere to get that out, a lot of bullying would stop. You
you know, I,
know,
I personally never met a mean jujitsu person. You know,
no,
like,
no. Well, I ran into a douchebag, but not a mean person.
I ran into guys who are like, your spazzy white belts, or like guys that are really like, they're just maybe going a little harder than they should. Then that
Hmm.
might be bad. But I never ran into just genuine like just bad people in jiu-jitsu. I feel like, like the more trained you are, the more confident you are, the less, especially in policing, like for me, like I am less likely to be in a violent altercation because of my training.
Hmm.
Rely more on my verbal communication than my physical, because I don't have to yell. I don't have to
Yeah.
yell, scream, I don't have to cuss. I don't have to do all that stuff that you normally see, because I have the confidence because of what I've done. I put the time, the hours on the mat to know that if something goes down, then I have a chance. I'm probably going to win that battle, you know, most likely. Not every time. I'm not saying I'm going to win it every time, but most likely I'll be able to handle myself against an untrained suspect that's probably high or drunk, doesn't have the full functions, right? And
Hmm.
and so when people say that, like, oh, well, why would you want to train an officer to, be more violent? It's like you're not. You're training them to be less violent.
Way
You're
less violent.
to like use their hands instead of go to their gun or go to their taser or go to their asp, or like I have a taser. Not one time do I ever think about pulling it out. In any of my altercations, I've never thought about pulling my taser out. I've always thought about going hands on because that's what I know. And
Hmm.
and some will say, well, that's gonna hinder you one day, or that's gonna be a mistake one day. Well, yeah, it could be, maybe one day. But as far, I'm 4 years in. I've been hearing this since day one. Okay, well, 4 years, what I've done so far has been good.
Has been
So
working, right?
4 more years at 8 years, if the same applies, do I start having enough credibility at 8 years now? Like when does my credibility start that I can
Right.
talk on the subject that jiu-jitsu works? Because right now I'm still a rookie. Oh, he don't know nothing. He's only been doing the job for 3.5 years, which is fine. I get that. Yes, I'm still a rookie. right? But when does my credibility start? Because
Mm-hmm.
I've been working, like I've been in some stuff, and I've been confronted by gang members, by thugs, by some hardcore people that I've been able to talk to. Even gang members, like, bro, you a cool ass dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I showed you respect. I respected
Right.
you. I mean, when I walk up to you, like, hey, bro, if you respect me, I promise you, I'll respect you. All right, cool. That's it. I'm always saying please, thank you, please. No ego, and that's all because of my jiu-jitsu training. I feel.
Yeah. Oh no, I can contest to that because I get people, somebody, I'll happen to mention I do jujitsu, and if the people they do know, that understand or know anything about it, the first thing they ask you is, "Oh, have you ever had to use it in the street?" No. You never had to, you never had to whip it out on somebody? No. Man, I mean, what you training for? Because I like it. The reason why I like it so much is because I have a place I can let this frustration and anger out, versus out in the streets where if I have to use it, okay, I know like you said, I'm well equipped to understand the situation, which, people need to understand. Whereas you saying like, oh, this might hinder you one day, but the more you do it, the more you understand when you will have to change your tactics. Just like in rolling. If I'm rolling with somebody and I'm controlling the situation, I'm just kind of going lighthearted, blah, blah, blah. But once I know they're starting to turn up, it's like, okay, we're going there. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm just going to play nice the whole time while this dude is, elbows and, knees flying everywhere. Again, I'm getting hit, hit in the eye. It happens. But at the same time, I still know how to control myself. But now I was like, okay, now I see he's trying to turn up. All right, let's kick it up to that level. No. And that's the awareness that you gain from training. You train consistently. Like you said, 4 years, I can vouch for you and say, like, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. Because I've been there. Like, I understand in his situation where it's like, you get these rowdy people that want to just rah, 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 rah. And you're just like, all right, you right. You cool. All right, let's talk. Because I worked in retail for the past 12 years. And well, I'm not in retail anymore, thank God. But I've seen myself versus before I started training jiu-jitsu and after I started training jiu-jitsu. Because beforehand, people they feel like you beneath them. They'll talk to you in a certain type of way, and my anger would instantly throw off my whole day. But now, the last incidents, I won't say incidents, but the last little elevated conversations that happened when I was at work, it was completely different because I'm like, dude, I'm not even about to go there with you. Like I know for a fact how this is going to end.
Yeah.
You want to get rowdy, you want to get irate. I'm just sitting here chilling. Like, hey, bro, I'm trying to help you. If you want to, my manager's like, rah, 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 rah. I'm like, no, just go. I got it. Calm down. We don't need all that.
Yeah.
You need to get out the store. No, you don't. It's all right. Because you're just adding fuel to the fire. We having a normal conversation. You want to get loud? Hey, bro, we're not there. We're not going there. We're having a normal conversation. And then after a while, they'll be like, you know what? Now I look like the fool because I'm barking, people watching me, and no one's giving me that type of attention. So I'm just going to calm down.
For sure. I mean, that's how I can contest. I mean, I deal with that more often. People come down to the level that you're at. And then will rise when you rise with them, they'll rise with you. And I mean, we train firearms, but how many officers are going to be in actual shooting?
Right.
We train tactics and all kinds of firearm drills and stuff, but statistics say that most officers will never be in a shooting, but yet we'll put hands on somebody maybe every shift. I mean, depending on where you work, you may put hands on someone every shift. If you're working, for us, south side of San Antonio, east side, west side, that's a rough part of San Antonio. So you're putting hands on probably every shift, but yet there's no mandate for any type of training for that. It's crazy to me. I don't get it.
Very so backwards.
It's crazy to me, but I mean, It is like what it is. There's some great companies that are going around the country training like in police departments. Gracie Combatives is doing it. Jay with Effective Fitness Combatives, he puts on a great program. There's C4C. They do it's called like police like jiu-jitsu. They all do great programs, and so they teach like a police jiu-jitsu specific programs that work for us, because there is a disconnect and there is a handicap when it comes to just jiu-jitsu. And that's another thing that we can go into. Some gyms, some professors think that if you just train jiu-jitsu, then you should be good for the streets. If yes, a trained officer that trains jiu-jitsu is better than an untrained guy, but we have a firearm, we have tasers, we have stuff on our belts. Like we have
heavy stuff.
Am I going to go on side control and give my guy and like give the suspect my gun side? Am I going to do certain takedowns or certain moves that's going to allow him to grab my gun? So so you have to be able to train specifically for policing, and you have to train with your belt on, and you have to feel and know what it feels like. Shrimping. It's hard to shrimp like we do in the gym when you have a belt on. So the difference, the minute difference in shrimping would be that you have to lift your hips off the ground.
Right, you lift them a lot higher. Yep.
Right, but we don't do that normally. All we do is slide our hips over. So there are differences, and so I think that's kind of like the difference between what these guys are doing with their companies when they're going around teaching like police departments, is they're teaching specifically for policing. They're all police officers, they're all black belts in jiu-jitsu. Most of them are SWAT officers, so they've been doing the job for a long time, and also they've been training for a long time. So they're putting on great programs. They're training all over the country. So hopefully we start seeing a change in policing around the country. I know. I think New Jersey. I think they passed a law where jiu-jitsu has to be taught in the academy now. So I mean that's something.
Yeah, it's a start. It's definitely a huge step in the right direction, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk bad about like officers, like they're my brothers and sisters, but you have 2 or 3 officers and you fight one suspect and you can't take them down and hold them down, and and that suspect grabs a gun, whatever this situation is, and that suspect gets shot and killed. It's like, why couldn't we control this? Like, why couldn't we control this guy or this girl?
Yeah.
It's 3 against 1. It's 2 against 1. A little bit of training could have prevented this death.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting justified? Yes, because of what he did. Like the actions of that suspect led to the shooting. So justified, yes, but is it right? Could we not have done better? Of course we could. Like, we have to stop thinking, is it justified, and start thinking, can we do better? And for me, that's the difference in my mindset as an officer, is I don't want to be just, oh, well, was it justified? No, like, what can I do to make sure I've done everything I can for this outcome to be the best outcome it could have been? Because, I don't know like what it is, but it's not easy to shoot somebody. I would never want to shoot somebody, ever.
Right.
Fellow American having a bad day, even if they're a bad person in a bad situation, like if I can take them down with my hands and control them and put them in cuffs and, get them in like my patrol car, that's my number one goal,
Right.
And I'm doing everything I can to make sure I have that ability and skill set. And sometimes I don't. They may be bigger, they may be stronger, they may get the best of me. But, I'm definitely better trained than I am untrained.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the reality of it, man. People always want to go to like, right is right, wrong is wrong. But it's like, yeah, okay, we understand the situation. It got hostile. The police had to use excessive force. And, people just want to jump like, oh, he could have done better. True. But he's not trained for that. Like you said, you have 4 or 5 cops wrestling one suspect to the ground.
And the suspect gets loose.
The suspect get loose, and then it just that person goes into that fight or flight mode, and it just escalates. But my instructor showed us stuff, how to subdue people. Not saying it's gonna work 90%, 100% of the time, but it's a better high survivability rate for both parties, if things are being handled properly. And we've had, cops is like, hey, I'm not even gonna hold you up. It's kind of embarrassing that we haven't been shown this type of stuff. Everything is just so aggressive, slamming them to the ground or stuff like that. Or like, 3 or 4 cops putting their knees in their back and their neck to kind of hold them down. No, my instructor shows the way to, subdue somebody, get their hands behind their back, pin your knees behind their arms so they can't reach for their belt line or yours. You're safe. They're safe. You can handcuff them, wait for backup, so on and so forth. Everybody go home tonight. Everybody gets to kiss their wife and kids besides the person going to jail. But, majority of people can go home and kiss their wife and kids, tonight. Without having that trauma of like that, I had to, end someone's life today because he reached for my gun and I had to take lethal force.
Yeah. I hope it comes to a change, I hope something happens as far as state mandating, and I don't get it because citizens complain and they yell and they protest and they do all this. Why don't you demand this?
Mm-hmm.
Like demand training, do y'all not know? Do y'all are y'all not educated in the fact that you think that officers have this training when they really don't? Or do y'all know? Well, if y'all do, if y'all know, then demand it. Like if y'all want officers on the street, well, demand the training. Don't defund us, fund us, and have accountability. Say, hey, we want this. We want every officer to have 40 hours, 80 hours of combatives a year, which even then is not enough. I think once a week, 1 hour a week, an officer, if you team up with a jiu-jitsu program in your community and say, hey, I'll pay for an officer to go to your gym 1 hour a week and make it mandatory and pay the officer to go. 1 hour a week isn't great, but it's something.
It's something.
That's 52 classes or, however many classes a year they go to throughout, if they go every week, but that's a lot. I mean, when I go and I'm a practitioner, if I can go 3 times a week, that's a good week for me.
Oh yeah. I'm drilling.
So, I'm averaging 2 times a week when I'm working. And so if someone's going once a week, every week, and it's paid for them to go, and they don't have to pay the jiu-jitsu fee, shoot.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say they won't get hooked,
I mean, that's the hope.
Yeah. I mean, but 9 times out of 10, if you're doing something every single week, it's like, all right, there's something to this.
But again,
they got a program, I think it's called Adopt a Cop.
Yeah.
One of the a couple of the guys that's been on the show told me about it. And it's kind of like that. It's like the police academy will pay for an officer to go, to participate, in classes up to blue belt.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, then they figure out from where they want to go from there. Like they either, I'm gonna say drop out of the program, but they graduate out of the program, and then the next, then they'll pay for the next person to come up and so on and so forth. It sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
So the program's still the same. So what they'll do is if the gym decides to join the program, every cop that trains there, the professor or owner agrees to charge $50 a month. Mm-hmm. A doctor pay the gym $50 a month. If they don't agree to that, then they'll give the officer $50 towards their membership fee up until blue belt.
Okay.
Good. Yeah. So I did that program. You have to do some posting on Instagram and stuff like that, like a weekly, to support the program and help market it. But it's a good program. I mean, that's what we need. We need more stuff that's going to get officers out there. It's just, man, officers are they're a hard bunch. Like, how do you get officers to train? Unless it's mandatory, it's just so hard to get them to train, man. And some of it's laziness, but man, we work so many hours. It's so stressful. You have your families, you have your other hobbies. How do you fit in an hour? I think every officer can fit an hour in, but I understand the other aspects. If the department's not paying for it, man, like jiu-jitsu schools around here are 150, 170 a month. And officers are living paycheck to paycheck. They're working side jobs. So when they're not working their shifts, they're working side jobs. I have buddies
Right.
out days a week, 7 days a week, and like they're killing themselves. And luckily, I don't have to do that. So I train jiu-jitsu a lot, but I can see why they don't train. But I can also see, hey man, like this is your profession, this is your life. Like this is a life or death like situation. Every time you go to a call, things can
Yeah.
go. So it's a matter of priorities. But I mean, I can definitely see both ends of the discussion from an officer standpoint. And so I think, if the departments help pay for it, pay for them to go, make it mandatory, that's going to be the difference. There's a sheriff's office around here. They actually do a jiu-jitsu class every Monday at the department for 1 hour. So, you're going to the department, it's there, it's 1 hour, it's every Monday, and come and train. And they actually do jiu-jitsu training for everyone that starts. They go through a little academy before they actually hit the FTO streets, and they actually do I think a 1 weekend program for combatives. But they have an internal, so they have their own mats, so they don't have to pay another gym to go pay. So it's all internal. So they're only paying the hour that the officer's there. So I mean that helps with costs. And then of course there's how do we have a program that's not going to injure officers?
That too.
That's a big one. Which I mean, like you can do it. Like I mean, you don't always have to roll hard. You don't always have to do like crazy stuff. I mean, when it comes to policing, basics. I mean, 20 techniques of very basic jiu-jitsu is all an officer really needs. And if they can just master those 20 techniques, be very consistent, and be able to like kind of connect them and move and go from one technique to the other and kind of flow with it. I mean, that's all they really need, And so, I mean, it doesn't have to be some elaborate program that has to be developed,
Yeah, I agree, man. It's a slow burn. It's a slow burn. Obviously it's not foolproof. It's not, watertight. It's gonna have some hiccups. A lot of people are not gonna, like you said, not a lot of people are not gonna agree to it. Not a lot of people are like, man, I'm already working X amount of hours. I have no room to squeeze in another hour somewhere else, and I gotta pay for it. But yeah, like I said, it's one of those things that we can just hope and kind of like just put it out there and hope that it catch fire, and it'll just be better around for a lot of people.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it gets better.
Yeah, it will. I feel it will.
But jiu-jitsu itself is blowing up. So
yeah,
at least it's blowing up.
I know, right? I'm happy that it's something that I've tried, that I stuck with, because usually like it's like you start something, it's kind of like I'll see, I'll play around for a couple months and see how this is, and then I blinked and I'm and it's consumed my life completely.
Man, I wish I would have never stopped, man. Like when I started in 2012, if I would have never stopped, like that's kind of my. If someone asked me, like, hey, like, well, like, what'd you say? Like, just don't stop, just
just don't stop.
But you just gotta fall in love with it. But yeah, like it is something where you either have to love it or you don't, because you do get your aches and pains. It doesn't matter how soft you go, especially in gi, you're gonna get your neck, kind of yanked. You're gonna get some shoulders and stuff. So you have to love it, have to love the process, and love the art itself. But man, if you just don't stop, just stick with it,
Yeah, I think that's a funny story about that. Like my wife, she's been back and forth for training. She'll start back, this year, and I think one of her like really hard classes, and then she woke up just body all beat up. She's like just so stiff, and she's like, "This is what you feel every day." I'm like, yes. From a knee, from my knees, my wrists, my back, neck, everything. Even right now, I'm in pain, but I've gotten so used to it. Like I'll get up, I'll stretch, do whatever I can to loosen my body up, and boom, I'm dealing with the day.
My wife's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear you. Keep going. I'm gonna go roll. Oh, okay. Because I'm like, yeah, but I mean, like, so I mean, I wait, like, yeah, my back, my neck, like right now, something's up on my shoulder. I think I may have a tear. And I mean, when I'm like right now, it's crazy hurting. But when I'm on the mat and I'm like warmed up and that adrenaline's going, like it just all loosens up. And now you roll and then boom. But once you get home and take that shower and kind of get cold again, all them aches come back.
Man.
But yeah, I've really been looking into like yoga and kind of really started focusing on stretching and really kind of trying to see what I can do because I mean, lately it's really been hurting, my back, my neck, my joints. So I'm like, what do I need to do to prolong, my jiu-jitsu journey? And that's going to be stretching and yoga and smarter training, not always going hard. And I think that's a big one. It's not always going hard. I don't always have to go hard, but that's hard because I want to go hard all the time.
Like when you have those conversations, like who are you really trying to convince? It's like I'm not gonna go hard today. I'm not gonna do it.
Well, so I'll tell you what. So I'll go in there and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna roll, but I'm gonna roll with some of the lower belts, right? But then like maybe like my boy is a brown belt or a black belt, like you want to roll? I'm not gonna say no. I'm the lower. I have respect, So I'm not saying no to them. So yeah, hey, let's go. And then I mean, it don't matter what they do. Like anytime I roll with an upper belt, like it's gonna be a battle. And so my intentions were to go in there and have some not easy rolls, but not like crazy rolls. But then it just one thing leads to another, and they become hard rolls. So it's either I have to like not roll at all and just do technique, but it's like, man, like I do it for also cardio, working out.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling is part of the process,
Yeah.
So
I can't tell you how many times I've been like in pain. I'm limping. Everything hurts. I'm grabbing my gym bag, and my wife like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "You know where I'm going."
Yeah.
Are you gonna take it easy? I'm like, I'm gonna take it easy. Like I'm in a lot of pain right now. I'm not gonna go hard. And then boom, I go to open mat. It's like 10 people there. And it's like, yep.
It warms up. Like you feel good. Like once you get that roll, you kind of warm up. You start sweating and stuff. All those little aches and pains are kind of gone. Kind of get that
non-existent. Like I can be like, yeah, I'm in pain, but I'm watching this video like I just went inverted like 6 times. And then when you get home, it's like once your body starts to cool down and that adrenaline starts to subside. Man, it seemed like every step is just excruciating.
Yeah, that's the man, like some of these black belts that have been doing this for 30, 40 years and that are still doing it at like a high level. I'm like, God, how do y'all do this for so long? Like,
man, I'm telling you,
it's respect. That's what it is.
Yeah,
those guys, like, because they've been doing it. But I mean, that's what I think if I get more flexible, kind of work on the yoga and do some stuff to kind of help with recovery, I think that's going to help with that journey. Because I'm not the most flexible. I'm a big dude, I'm about 235, 5'9", so I'm kind of like a short, stocky dude.
Yeah, we're about the same. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, when I have my legs like over my head and I'm inverted and stuff, like that's not natural, like for me in that position. But I get in those positions, but I feel it after. So
yeah, it's definitely more another thing that is important about jiu-jitsu is that taking care of yourself. Stretch before and after class, let your body recover, properly take care of yourself for what you eat and how you handle yourself. But it's better to learn it now than not learn it at all. Because I'm learning it now, and I can feel the difference, but it's like I can still do a lot more.
Sure. With with like what you're seeing with like the jiu-jitsu game now, like what is your take as a as a professor now on leg locks and white belts and learning that game early?
I teach it to kids.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, it's a. I mean, to me, I feel like the earlier the better, because I feel like if you wait too late to start to teach it, and people fall into a position where they'll get a leg lock, they'll just grab and go. Like no, that's not how you're supposed to do it. Like we teach it, but we don't never like sink it in. Like if we go for a heel hook or ankle lock or anything like that, we'll just grab it and be like, all right, let it go, keep it moving. Because like I said, we don't want nobody get hurt and someone try to spin out of a leg lock and their knee go this way, their body goes that way, and now you're out for a while.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like some of the gyms I go to, they're predominantly like no-gi gyms, but man, these little kids these days are phenomenal.
Nasty monsters, man.
Just their technique, their leg game, they're just, I mean, even their wrestling too. Like they're just so technical. Because I was thinking, I'm like, man, like if you wait to brown belt when you can start doing, and that's if you're even in the adult division in IBJJF. If you wait for brown belt and you've never done legs, well then you're kind of screwing yourself.
Yeah.
Now, if a gym doesn't teach, if they stick to the traditional, hey, you're not going to mess with legs until you're at least a purple belt. That way you kind of start preparing for your brown belt when you compete. I'm like, well, it's too late because these guys have been doing legs since they were like 5.
Yeah.
And especially nowadays, oh my God, like there's a 14-year-old here. His name's Tristan. His older brother, JR, is 17, and they own a gym. And these two kids are phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Like JR, black belt, Tristan's a green belt because of his age. But watching them roll, holy smokes, their technique is phenomenal. And I'm just like, and then some of their younger, and then some of their students are just phenomenal. Just watching them, and I just sit back on the mat, and I'm just like, it doesn't matter what position they're in; they're always attacking. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you even have the body control to know like how to attack from that position? Like, but they do, and it's incredible. And I just see the sport like in 10 years, it's going to be on a whole different level. Like,
yeah.
It's going to be so advanced.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to see where it goes for sure.
Yeah. It's fun. I love it. I love the community. I love the sport. I love the networking and meeting the people and, going to pans and just seeing like everybody compete and like it's addicting.
Very, 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 very. All right, Derrick. So we have a question we ask everybody that comes on the show. It kind of became a staple. So past or present, man, top 3 people, no particular order, you would love to get a chance to roll with.
Top 3 people.
Yeah.
I mean, probably Gordon Ryan, probably in my top. Only because when I watch him roll, like he looks like he's doing it like with no effort. But yeah, that pressure, everyone talks about the pressure. And that just fascinates me how someone, like, how do you mimic that pressure? So I would love to pressure. And just, I mean, obviously, he's probably one of the best ever to do it in a no-gi. So, that'd be cool to roll with. I think Hickson. Hickson would be awesome to learn, to roll with. He's like the pioneer and just kind of seeing how he teaches and his philosophy. And of course, he's more than just jiu-jitsu, like his breathing techniques and he does with his body to make him the jiu-jitsu, practitioner he is, like that's kind of what I'm starting to kind of get into. Like, how can I better my body to be able to do this at his age? And then probably the third one, probably Big Dan. Big Dan, he's huge, but I would like to roll with him and see how powerful he is. I've been watching a lot of his matches lately.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming up. He's kind of a up and comer, and he's young too, so he's another one that's just going to be getting better and better. And at what I think it's what 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah,
And he's inverting and playing the guard game.
that's scary. That's so scary. That's so scary to think about.
Or like just down the street, like they're away. I don't know if I could ever get to them, but you could always try to go into like a Dana Hart class or some stuff like that at Henzo's, and maybe they'd be there one day or something. But yeah,
right,
I think
one
there's so many that you could pick from, but I think those would be my top, my three right now.
Not bad, not bad. I like that list. I mean, yeah, I think everyone would love to roll with Gordon Ryan and one of the Henzo and all them, just because of their knowledge and just experience. It's just like you're gonna get smoked, but you're like, nah, I just want to see what they talking about. I just want to see, like, for example, like Joe Rogan. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt, and it's kind of like I've never seen him roll. I've seen him explain techniques. I've seen him demonstrate techniques, but I've never seen him like roll. Yeah. And it's just like the idea of rolling with like someone like Joe Rogan is like, man, I know I'm not gonna last long, but damn it, I need this to happen.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That'd be fun roll. That'd be a fun roll.
Fun roll.
I think I could last a little bit longer with him than I could with the other three.
just a little bit
longer, but maybe a little bit longer. But yeah,
so not much, but just a little bit.
But it isn't even about the role, because pretty much every black belt can tap me, whenever they want. So it's not even about the role itself. It's just like learning what they're so good at. Learning philosophies, like learning their mentality of the game. Hickson, the way he has not just the jiu-jitsu itself, but what he's done with his body and like how he prepares for the jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, like the mental aspect, the physical aspect for it. Gordon Ryan, he's beating everybody. So, you can love him or hate him, he's still winning it all. But everyone talks about his pressure, his pressure game. I want to feel that pressure, and I want him to explain to me, like, what is he doing to have so much pressure to be able to completely demobilize the best people in the world.
Right.
Nicky Rod's another one. I would love to roll with him, and I could have actually. He just did a veterans jiu-jitsu seminar on Friday in Austin. I could have gone to, but his body passing and just like the stuff he's doing. Because that's kind of more of my game as a bigger person. I try to do more of like, the body locks and stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to learn that system. That would be amazing. How is he doing that to guys like Big Dan? How is he body locking someone that big and that strong and able to hold? Because I try to body lock somebody and I get swept.
Yeah.
The guys who outweigh him by 60 pounds at that level, and he's sweeping them, like the minute details that those guys have in their head and in their techniques, that's where you really learn it. That's where you learn the game. But yeah, there's just so much to learn from so many people. It's just impossible to pick like just three. Everyone brings. Yeah. There's so much. There's the wrestling aspect. There's the guard aspect. There's the top game pressure. There's the body lock. There's so much that you can be people.
Yeah, so much, but yeah, you said it best, man. It's so much out there, jiu-jitsu wise, and it always seemed like it's just rapidly just evolving right before our eyes. It's like we see one thing, and then next there's like 50 other amazing techniques or 50 other amazing practitioners just come out of nowhere, and it's like always evolving, always changing the game. So. Yeah, man, it's crazy how jiu-jitsu works.
Yeah, I would love the leg game, like I'll learn the leg game, but honestly, I would love just to be an expert at the basics. You know.
Yeah, basics are always fun. Basics is always key.
Yeah, I mean, you see some of these guys that are just doing the basics. Like sometimes you see Gordon Ryan just do a simple armbar. You know, he gets the side control to like an armbar. You know, I would love to be able just to do that at a high level.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, all right, Derrick, man. Unless you got any more questions for me, man, I would love to let for you to let the people know if you got anything coming up. Shout out to your school. Anything else you want to add, man? The floor is all yours.
No, I just thank you for having me. I love the podcast. I'm glad I found you. Been listening to you now, like since I found you. So I'm a big advocate for police to go out there and train. So if you're an officer like watching the podcast, please just go out and train. Just try one class, try 2 classes. Just give it a chance. You know, I think it's going to change your life, both on the streets and mentally. And you know, shout out to Gracie Baja, Spring Branch, Professor James Overton. And that's about it, man. I appreciate you having me. Have a great new year. Hope you the best for all your tournaments that you have set up for you this year. So I hope
man, likewise. Man, I appreciate the support, man. I appreciate you, having you on here, man. And, I'd love for you to come back down the line, man. We can, definitely chop it up some more about the thing that we love so much.
Oh, for sure. Anytime, bro.
All right, man. That's the end of today's episode. I would love to thank Derrick one more time for coming on the show. Bless us with his jiu-jitsu knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please go and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube page to stay updated on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day. All right, bro.